The deputy leaders of National and Labour say they would make way for Winston Peters to take the deputy prime ministership if that's what it takes for their party to seal a deal with New Zealand First. Both Labour and National were back at Parliament today. All the caucuses there, new MPs and returning MPs, preparing to start negotiations with New Zealand First to try to form a government. They're still figuring out the best people to conduct negotiations and are trying to identify where they have common ground with New Zealand First and its policy lineup. Jacinda Ardern this afternoon announced that she and her deputy Kelvin Davis would lead Labour's negotiating team, but will reveal who else is on it closer to the time of formal negotiations kicking off. She told reporters at Parliament she did not have a timeline for when those talks will begin.
I can confirm, though, that late yesterday, we did reach out to New Zealand First and indicate that whenever they were ready, we were happy and available to meet.
And that was at the Chief of Staff level?
We did that to the Chief of Staff level. No, I have not spoken directly to Mr Peters yet, but I respect that he's taking the time to talk with his colleagues and others, and that's time and space that we will be respecting.
Does he say when they might be ready?
No, I don't have an indication as yet.
Would you expect to sit down and have any sort of formal talks before October the 7th?
Oh, look, I haven't necessarily set that expectation. I think, though, that it would be prudent of all the political parties to go and do the preparatory work because we are working to quite a tight timeline. But I fully expect as well that we won't have anything really formalised until we have those special votes in, and that's a fair expectation.
What can you offer Winston Peters in terms of trust?
Sorry, what?
What can you offer Winston Peters in terms of trust?
A good
Bill English might not be able
a good working relationship with our senior MPs and a good existing working relationship. Relationships are important in these negotiations, and I'd like to think that we have the existing relationship required to take forward a good negotiation and form a stable, credible, long-term coalition government.
He's cut the Greens out of the equation before. Would you be happy for him to do so again?
As I've indicated, I think we need to go into these negotiations, of course, accepting that they carry at the moment 6% of the vote.
Do you respect Mr Peters?
Yes, I do, particularly as a senior member of Parliament with a lot of experience.
Do you trust it?
Yes, I do.
You wouldn't have a three-way negotiation. Can you just explain why that is?
Yeah, no, what I set out yesterday was my expectation would be that we'd have talks individually with each of those parties separately. There may be a set of circumstances where further down the track that might be something that that we instigate, but at the moment I see them as being individual negotiations.
Jacinda Ardern. Earlier in the day, the National Party leader, Bill English, told reporters there are ongoing discussions between his office and Mr Peters' office about the logistics of setting up a negotiation meeting.
Well, there's just ongoing discussions about that. As you know, Mr Peters has been up north and he's travelling. I don't think we would get too concerned about the way things are moving. He'll be coming back to Wellington. He's got to address his own caucus and we'll meet with his own caucus and then begin negotiations as everyone would expect.
He wasn't that happy about you calling him a maverick. Are you worried about that at all?
Oh no, I'm not worried about that. I've known Winston Peters a long time. In fact, for 27 years, I think we've been in Parliament together, longer than pretty much anyone else in the building. So there's a lot of things, I'm sure, as I said, a lot of political pushing and shoving. We've been in different parties for most of that time. You'd expect that there's, some differences of opinion, but I think I've always been clear that I understand his role, given the result of the election. He's an experienced politician. He takes his role very seriously. And we would expect to be able to begin negotiations on that basis.
Do you think he can get over some of the grudges he has with the National Party?
Well, I think, as I said, he understands his role. And the role here is to, now that we've had an election where the people have spoken, which is at the core of our democracy, then it's up to the political party leaders to form the kind of government indicated by the election. And Mr Peters knows that as well as anybody, and I'm quite sure that he takes that role seriously and responsibly.
Bill English speaking at Parliament earlier today.